The pill that Ukraine is going to have to swallow to end this is getting increasingly bitter by the day. Ukrainecast from BBC News. Hello. This is Victoria Derbyshire in the Ukrainecast studio. And hello. I'm Frank Gardner, BBC security correspondent, also in the Ukrainecast studio. Right? There's been so much movement in the last few hours. Let's go through it. Starting with President Trump's comments. This is some of what he posted on Truth Social. A short time ago, I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We've also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately. And we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation. Something which I will be doing right now. I've asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA National Security Advisor, and our Ambassador and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Does this mean Frank Gardner negotiations are now underway to end this war? It does. It doesn't mean that there is going to be a successful outcome. The two sides are still very far apart as to what they want. President Putin thinks he is winning. He is advancing slowly on the battlefield in the east, very slowly. But, I think all of this news will be welcomed in Moscow. The fact that President Trump has had a 90-minute, nearly phone call with President Putin. It's been described as you know, effectively cordial or constructive. That's probably good news for world peace. It may not necessarily be good news for Ukraine, because you know, almost certainly the pill that Ukraine is going to have to swallow to end. This is getting increasingly bitter by the day. Today, I'm afraid, is going to be for Ukraine a bit of a watershed moment, because it's the day when we finally say goodbye to the idea that whatever it, for as long as it takes all these mantras that Western leaders, including Britain's Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and Joe Biden and others, have been saying for the last few years, we'll support Ukraine for however long it takes. You know, are you saying that? Right? So the US is out of the picture now. Let's just not completely. Okay, can European nations fill the gap? If the right, I'm sorry to preempt you there. They can't possibly fill the gap in terms of armed supplies. Now Ukraine, there are plenty of voices in Ukraine saying we will fight on, but they can't win. That's the problem. And you know, the world is, I'm sorry to say, tired of this terrible fight that is ripping the heart out of the youth in both countries. Russia has the advantage when it comes to its industrial military heartland. It's churning out huge numbers of low-quality weapons that can eventually overwhelm Ukrainian lines. It's throwing men and material at those at the Ukrainian lines, losing 1,000 plus casualties every day, but it's got 1,000 more to replace them. Ukraine doesn't have that luxury. Ukraine cost